What's up, everybody? This is Reverend Guns, and today we're going to completely disassemble this Glock 42 and clean it. This was brought to me because it was jamming a lot and he couldn't figure out why, and after I've inspected it, it is just dirty as hell and needs oil. So you can't forget to do that, especially if you shoot it a lot. Tools you're going to need. I got a soft bristle brush. This is pretty much used for everything on this. I don't use the metal or brass because I don't want to scratch anything up. I've got a 357 barrel brush, 357 9mm. They're basically the same size, so that's what we're going to use. This is going to come in handy a little bit later, and I'll show you why, but you want something to be able to scrub into a small hole with. And then I've got a couple punches here. Nothing specific. I believe this looks like a 3/64 and a, where is it? A 1/8. So we'll need that for the disassembly. Gun cleaner. Try them. Pick which one you think might work best for you. I've tried several of these and some are better than others. It just comes down to your preference. I've got a Jag. This is a 357 Jag that we'll use to clean out the barrel when we're done. I've got some gun oil, a gun oil rag that I only use for oiling so I know it's not contaminated with anything else. Got some patches. Q-tips sometimes come in handy, and then I've got a couple rags here to help wipe stuff off as we go. So the first thing you want to do is make sure it is clear and safe. So right here behind the trigger is the mag release. You press that and it releases the magazine and allows it to come out. We don't need this, so we're going to set this aside. Then right here is the slide lock. You're going to pull back the slide and push the slide lock up to hold the slide in place. Now you can look down the barrel there and see there's nothing in there. Okay, so we can go ahead and release the slide with the slide lock, and we can pull the trigger to release the firing pin. There's two little tabs here on each side. While you've got the slide cocked back just a little bit, doesn't take much, you're going to pinch both of those and pull them downward. And when you let go of the slide, it should just release it and go all the way forward. So we've got the frame. Alright, this is the recoil spring. It needs to be compressed and you can just lift it out. Got the barrel, it just lifts right out. Now if we were doing a basic cleaning, we wouldn't go any further than that. But we're doing a complete detail. So we're going to take our slide here, and you're going to look right here. You're going to see a little lip. If you look down in there, there is a little sleeve in there that you want to basically stick your punch here and catch it and pull it forward. As you release the tension, it allows you to slide the back off of the slide. Okay? Now you can pull your punch out, and this will allow you to slide the firing pin out. And there, yep, there's a little one here for the extractor. This is the extractor spring. Okay? And then right up in here, there's a little silver plunger. It's spring loaded. Okay, as you press that down, it should release the extractor itself. Okay, so press into it, and it should just fall right out. Okay, and we'll dump the other piece out. The slide is now completely stripped, short of taking off the sights, but we're not going that far with it. Okay? Alright, now we're going to take apart the frame. Basically, we're going to go in from the left side and push it out. The one thing that's going to make it difficult is the slide lock arm. Okay, it's not lined up perfectly with it and caught in a little groove on that pin. So what I do is right here on the bar, I'll press up and down on it, or if I need to, lift it up and down to kind of line it up with that pin while I'm pushing it out, and it'll allow you to get this pin out. Okay, so kind of put some tension on that pin, and you'll just kind of pop it right out. Pin came out, and when you look at this, you'll notice that one side has two like lips on it, the other one has one. That second lip is what the slide lock lever is catching on to, and with the slide lock hole just bigger than it and under spring tension, it's constantly holding up on it. So that's why you need to wiggle it to get it loose. Okay, take your punch out. Now if you'd like, you can take, what I do is I just kind of pry up right about here to get the feeding ramp out. Just takes a little bit. It should be pretty easy to come out. Let's do a little more. There we go. And once you've got it out, you can easily pop out the slide lock lever, and the trigger and arm, okay, are loose right now. We're not going to remove that quite yet because we have one more piece to disconnect. So take your smaller punch, and towards the back you'll see a pin hole there. You'll want to push that pin out, and that'll allow you to pull out the whole sear mechanism along with the trigger. Alright, this does come apart only so far. Okay, you'll see how it's kind of a cross here. You're basically twisting and raising at the same time. Okay, so twist and raise just like that. Okay, and going back in's the same way. So twist and raise. Come on, there we go. Okay, and these pieces are now apart. Do not take this apart. Okay, this has fragile pieces in it, and it's not any fun to have to replace the parts in here. So this should be pretty clean. Maybe just a wipe down needed. We're not going to go any further than that with it. All right, the rest of the frame. You have the slide release here. Remember, you pull these two tabs down. Well, if you push it down in the center here, and keep your thumb here, there's a spring under here, just push it out from the side. Okay, like I said, keep your thumb there. There is a spring underneath it. Doesn't matter which way you go with it, but you do want to pull it out. Okay, and here's the spring. And now you have completely disassembled the Glock 42. If you want to go to the extent of taking this apart, this is the firing pin. Basically, it's got what looks like a washer here. It's actually two half cups holding it there. So you gotta retract the spring, and I use the back of the slide right where it came out of. Retract the spring and pull the cups out. And these are the little cups I'm talking about. Okay. And then it's the spring. and then this black cap pushes down and goes out the front. Alright, this is it completely disassembled. We're going to go ahead and start cleaning. Grab my spray here. Just kind of, like I said, not doing that piece. Just wipe that off. We're just going to give everything a nice little coat of cleaner. And while that's soaking for a minute, alright, so let's grab our soft bristle brush and let's just kind of start with the bigger pieces. You want to go through and just scrub everything down everywhere you can. We're just breaking up the dirt that's on here, and then we'll end up wiping it off. Alright, let's grab a rag here and give everything a good wipe down. Alright, grab the trigger and arm here. We'll give this a good brush down. Dirt, carbon, dust, whatever, can get anywhere and everywhere. So we're going to make sure we get all these parts done real good. Alright, we got the recoil spring. You just want to try your best to kind of get in the spring grooves. Brush out anything that might be in there. Get the ends pretty good. And then wipe that off. See here, the barrel. Okay, I'm kind of particular on how I do this. You want to take your barrel brush and you've got the muzzle end and the chamber end, right? You want to go in from the back in the chamber end, just the way the bullet would travel. Okay, and just push it on through and scrub it with your barrel brush. It might feel kind of stiff and gritty at first, but as you go through it, you'll feel it kind of get easier and a little smoother. So you just do this until you feel comfortable that it's been pretty well brushed out. Alright, now we can take our brush and go around the rest of it. And to finish off the inside of the barrel, you'll want to grab a patch and your jag. You stab it right in the center and push it on through, same direction you did with the barrel brush from the chamber end. Put it in the back and force it through. Gives it a nice tight wipe down. Interesting. I actually stabbed all the way through it. Okay, but when you look at it, you get to see how dirty that is. You're trying to get rid of all the black stuff. Okay? Nice thing about these Jags is it only takes 2, 3, 4, not many, compared to using the slotted cleaning rod. It's a lot easier to do with a Jag. As you see, after the second pass, how much of it's already gone. So we'll do it one more time, just to make sure it's wiped down real good. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. So we'll count the barrel as done, and we'll give it a wipe off real quick. Get all the excess stuff that was on the outside. The slide, just go at it with your brush, pretty much hit everywhere you can. Trying to break up everything that's in there. Get around the sights, thumb grooves, anywhere you can. Get the slide rails real good. Alright, so now we'll go through and wipe everything off. Alright, so the hole where the extractor pin was sitting, I have just a little straw cleaner or pipe cleaner or whatever. I'm going to cram that in the back and go all the way through with it, just to kind of give it a nice good clean in the extractor area. It's probably never been touched, so it probably needs it real good. Now I'm going to grab a Q-tip and cram it into these small holes and just kind of get whatever I can out of there. And then anywhere else you had a hard time reaching, you'll want to get with the Q-tip as well. We'll get inside the cylinder where the firing pin goes. You don't want anything wet, no oil, no debris, or anything sitting in here. Alright. Slide is done. The rest of these parts you can just kind of go at it with the brush. This is the firing pin. I want to make sure this is nice and clean. Make sure it is nice and dry too. Like I said, we don't want any oil or anything left on this. And everything else we can just kind of brush off and wipe off. So the extractor spring and rod here actually come apart. It just pops off. Okay. The one side's got a little black cap on it. I would just kind of do a wipe off with these. We're not worried about really scraping anything off of here, so just give it a good wipe off. And the same with the spring. We'll just kind of make sure there's nothing on there. Set that aside. Got the firing pin spring. Let's give that a good wipe off. Alright, we got the slide release lever and its spring. We've got the extractor mechanism here. Got the extractor itself. Got the slide back. Those little cups for the firing pin. Now we're going to put the smaller components back together, like the slide and the frame, and then we'll go through and oil everything up. Alright, to put the slide back together, I guess we'll put the extractor back in first. So you're going to need the little pressure spring switch that we had on the underside. You'll notice there's two cutouts on it. Okay, one is going to go towards the extractor, the other one is going to go away from the extractor. I believe it's the smaller dipped side. Okay, one's a little shallower than the other, goes towards the extractor. So the extractor goes here. We're gonna drop it in facing the direction we need. Okay, you're gonna take your extractor, and this only fits in one way. Okay, and it's pretty much like that. So you'll need to press in the spring and drop it in. There we go. Okay, and once you release the spring, it should be holding the extractor in. It's not going to shake out. Alright, we can take the rod and the spring, and there's a little tip on the end of it. That's what inserts into the hole of the spring, and it just snaps into place. And you drop it in with the black piece of the spring facing outward into this little hole you see sitting right there next to where the firing pin goes. Okay, just drop it in there for now. Now we'll put together the firing pin. Got the pin, the cups, the back, and the spring. Alright, I like to use the back of the slide as a guide, but you're going to take the sleeve and the pin and basically insert it so it slides all the way through. There we go. Okay. And then we can set it into the back of the slide there. Take your spring and it's going to go over it. Now you're going to have to compress this spring down to get the end of the firing pin to be exposed and go further, because you need to sit these little cups around the shaft just below the firing pin there, and they make a circle. They're kind of cupped to where you've got a smaller end, more narrow end, and a bigger end. The smaller end is going to go into the spring like a sleeve. So you'll want to pull it back and drop it in. And then on the other side, drop in. There we go. And it's going to look like that. So it's basically like a washer that's held to the firing pin by the spring. Okay. Take it out, and only goes in one way. You will stick that all the way in. Okay. What you want to do is press in the firing pin. It's springy, so if you put some force behind it, you should be able to slide the right back on. And it's only going to go halfway because we still have to get past the extractor spring right here. So you want to compress that now and push it the rest of the way up. Ta-da! Snapped into place. Okay, so the slide is now put back together. The frame. Let's start with the biggest stuff first. It makes it a lot easier. You can grab your trigger arm and trigger. Okay. And remember, I said earlier, you want to basically angle it in to get it started and then twist back into place. Okay, so the whole goal is, it's going to be a little bit of tension here, but the whole goal is to get it underneath the lip right here to catch it, and that's going to be where the tension is. So you'll have to push down and then twist it so part of that peg goes into the little hole that you see sitting on the side there, and then you want it underneath this little arm that comes out. Okay, so I'll do that again. Basically, you're gonna stick it in and twist. Okay, see that? Almost had it. There we go. Okay, so everything is back where it should be. Now you need, there should be 2 pins. There it is. There's 1 and 2. Okay, the smaller one is what you need to go in the back hole here. So we're going to drop this whole mechanism right into the slot. Get the trigger down the trigger hole, and the sear mechanism basically just kind of slides in. It only fits in one way. It doesn't pop in, it doesn't snap in, it just kind of slides in. And we can take our smaller pin and stick it in. Grab your punch to push it in the rest of the way. There you go. So now you've got it pretty much even on both sides. Alright. At this point, we can also put the slide release switch back in. It's got a little spring and the switch itself. You want to put the spring in first. There's a little designated hole for it right here. Where we at? Right here. This is where you drop the spring in. And then there isn't really much trick to this. I will point out that one side is flat and one's got kind of a lip on it. This flat side goes towards the front of the gun. Okay, so stick it in the hole at an angle. Let's see if I can get this on video. Put it at an angle going upward and just kind of grab a hold of the spring and then shove it all the way in. And it should just snap into place. Alright, let's see here. We've got the slide lock and the cover. So you want to put the slide lock in first, and it goes in like that. You'll notice that there's, I'm going to wipe this off real quick. Still see some cleaner on there. Use a Q-tip. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now you see this is how it's oriented on the gun, as you see the frame here. Okay, the spring is going to go down into a little designated hole right down in here. Okay, and then the inside of the whole arm just kind of the whole inside of the arm just kind of sets in inside the frame there, and then you'll want to make sure that the tab of the arm is over the frame. Okay, so once you've got it sitting down in there, there we go. Okay, should look like that. You can see how the arm is extended into there, and the spring part is sitting in that little groove. We can take the cap, okay, and it goes like this, back into there. It just covers right over everything that you see sitting there. And now we kind of need to do the same thing again with the pin. Now remember I said that one side has like 2 ridges on it and the other one only has 1. We're going to put the one with 2 ridges on in to the left. Okay, let's make sure we got everything lined up in the holes there. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to use this as a guide and push it in. And as you push it through, it's going to push the punch out. I'm going to use the punch to hear it click. And now you've got the slide lock arm, your trigger arm, everything is now locked back into place. Okay. Time for some lube. We're going to take our gun oil here, and we're just going to kind of put a little squirt on a corner here, and then we'll start with the barrel here. You pretty much do it all. What you're looking for is scratch marks. If you can see any scratching, usually on the barrel, around the chamber itself, you want to make sure you've got oil on those parts. So I pretty much do the entire shaft of the barrel, and then start looking at the lug in the chamber here and just kind of see where there's little scratch marks. Alright, now we don't want to put any on this little, on the front of the lug here. Kind of see how there's a little half moon cutout right there. Okay, we don't want any oil there because the guide rod sits there. We don't want it to slip off. All right. The guide rod itself, we can actually smear a little bit on there just to try and work some in there. But I'll show you a little trick here at the end to kind of get a little more oil on there. The frame, we're looking for little scratch marks along where the slide rubs here. And we want to make sure we get the slide rails real good. We're not trying to put oil everywhere. We just want it where we actually see markings. Okay, that shows that there's metal on metal contact, and we want to make sure we eliminate some of the friction there. The slide, same thing. We're looking for scratch marks, rub marks, scrapes, anything you can see on there. We want to get oil on it. Get the slide rails real good. Alright, it looks like there's some up here by the barrel. Alright. Alright, all that's left to do is to put this back together. Let's grab the slide here. Got the muzzle end to my left. We're going to take the barrel and we are going to slide it in to the barrel hole. Drop it, push it back, and it seats itself. The recoil spring, you got one end that goes into the second hole. Okay, and then you've got more of a flatter end, should be the smaller end, that'll go into that little half moon cutout that I showed you right here on the barrel. Okay, so we're going to stick it in the hole and compress it again and sit it down on that little half moon cutout, and that's what it's going to look like. Okay, make sure it is straight in the center. Now we will take the frame, and you've got guide rails here that line up with the slots on the back of your slide here. And we are going to shove it all the way back. Should pretty much lock into place. Now I said I wanted to lube part of the guide rod, right? Make it a little easier. We're going to go ahead and slide the slide all the way back and lock it up with the slide lock. And now you can kind of see that there's some of the guide rod exposed. So we're going to put some lube on there just to make sure we got some in there. And that'll go between the guide rod and the spring. So we can go ahead and release the slide. We're going to do a quick function check. You're going to pull the trigger, it fired. You're going to cock it while holding the trigger. It should click when you release the trigger. And then it should allow you to fire again. That is a complete function check. Got the magazine here. We can do one final wipe down. Just grab a clean rag here. And just kind of get all the fingerprints, little oil smudges, and everything else that we just did off of here. And this gun now looks brand new. So we have completely taken apart a Glock 42, cleaned it, oiled it, and put it back together. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try and help you out the best I can. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. I also offer the online course to get your Texas license to carry a handgun. It's the 4-hour class broken down into segments and saves your progress so you can do it at your own pace. After completing the course, you can print your certificate. Then it'll help you locate an instructor close to you, no matter where you are in Texas, so you can complete the shooting portion of the course. This is all certified by the Texas Department of Public Safety. Check it out at reverendguns.com. If you have any questions or comments, please add them below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more firearms education.